Hello YouTube, this is Walter Webb. Thanks for checking out lesson number 7 in the tutorial series called Java Fundamentals. Today we're going to be discussing loops, and the title of it is obviously loop control. So let's go. Okay, in programming there is always a situation when it is necessary to run a block of code many times in order to solve a particular problem. In a situation like this, we use what is known as a loop. Java uses 3 types of loops. First, the while loop, the do while loop, and the for loop. The while loop is written like this. You have while, and then as the argument you have what's known as a Boolean expression, and then in that block you have the statement that you're going to run as many times while that Boolean expression remains true. So as soon as that Boolean expression becomes false, the loop will stop. The do while. In the do while loop, you have the statement, the block of code. You're gonna run it first, and then you're gonna run the test, which is the Boolean expression. So first you run the block of code, and then you test if the Boolean expression is true. If it is true, you'll run the block of code again, and then you'll test if it is true. If it is true, you run it again and again and again until it becomes false. When it becomes false, that block of code will not run again. The for loop. Okay, in the for loop you have the initialization. So you'll initialize a variable, say for example like int x equals 0, and then you have the Boolean expression, which can be something like x is less than 100, and then you have the increment, which is x plus 1. Okay, so the block of code, just like in the other loops, is gonna run as long as the Boolean expression remains true. And in the increment, it is going to add 1. For example, it could also minus 1 or minus 10 or add 10, whatever. It's going to do some kind of addition or subtraction until the Boolean expression becomes false. When the Boolean expression becomes false, the block of the loop will stop. So the block of code will not execute anymore. Okay, so let's look at this in actual code. So here we have our main class. Close that. Open presentation mode. Okay, so this is the main class. Let's start with the for loop. So for, let's make some space. For int, let's call this count, unt equals 0, count is less than 20, which this is the Boolean expression. So it's gonna keep running until that expression becomes false, and then this is the increment, plus plus, which means it adds 1 every time it goes around. I believe I made this clear. In case I didn't, this is another way of writing it. Count equals count plus 1. So basically what this is doing is just adding 1 to count each time it goes around. So this is unt. This is a short way of writing count plus 1 each time. This is the way this is the way you'll always see it written in most programming languages. So okay, so that's the for loop, and this is the block of code that is going to run every time as long as that Boolean expression is true. Okay, system out print the variable count is equal to concatenation GNT that. Yeah, let's make it clean. Actually, let's just do it like this. Another concatenation. And make a new line so it looks clean. Yeah, so that's a for loop. So this block of code is gonna run about, let me see, 20 times. Yeah, 20 times until this count that is now 0. It starts off at 0. When it becomes 19, it's going to execute this for the last time. When it actually reaches 20, it's not going to execute this anymore because it will no longer be true, because count will not be less than 20. It will actually be equal to 20. And this is what's going to add 1 to count every time it goes around. So let me run this block of code, compile it. Hope it doesn't take too long to compile, because this is the first time I'm actually writing it. Come on, compiler. Okay, here we go. See, it stopped at 19. The variable count is equal to 0. Variable count is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to 19. So that's the for loop. Okay. Let's do a while loop. So let's initialize variable count t, set it at 0. Oops. Okay, so this is how you write the while loop. While count is less than, let's use 20 again. So while count is less than 20, while this is true, while this stays true, do run this block of code. Print the, just gonna write var, make it short, the var count is equal to I don't know if I explained this before, but this just means a new line, so that it's readable when it gets printed out to the command line. So instead of each thing being put beside each other in one line, it forces it to go into a new line. So you have the var count is equal to 1, 2, going down in a neat list. Anyway, okay, so and then you're gonna have to increment the variable count in t plus plus, so just add 1 each time. Yep, that's it. Simple. Compile that. Hope I didn't make any mistakes. It looks fine. Okay, there we go. So the var count is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 19. There you go. Loop. That's the while loop. Okay, so let's do I'm gonna keep the initialization. Let's do the do while loop now. So do sys system dot out dot print, and then the var count, keep writing j, is equal to what is wrong with me? Okay, and a new line to make it neat, and that's it. Now you have to have the while. That's it. While count is less than, wait, that's 100 this time. While count is less than 100. So first you run the statement, then you test to see if this is true. So the statement gets run first and then the test happens after. This is a little bit different from the other loops, but same basic concept. The only difference is that the test comes last. So if I run this now, let's see what happens. Oh, I made a mistake. I did not increment it. So this could actually almost crash my computer, because did I crash my computer? Loop is running too many times. Okay, let's increment it, because count just stayed at 0, so it just kept running, so this just remained true forever. That's what you call an infinite loop. This is a good time to teach what an infinite loop is. What I just did, that was an infinite loop. That loop will never stop running. So let me increment it now. Count. That's a good way to really cause the system to hang up and just like freeze. Just run an infinite loop. Could do it in like a couple threads too. You have multiple threads running multiple infinite loops. Crash your system. Anyways, but in most cases you don't want that to happen. So make sure you increment so that this eventually becomes false. So anyway, let's do that again. Okay, so there we go. All the way from 0 to 99. I'm sure you understand why. So that's a do while loop. You run the block of code and then you do the test. And loops are very powerful in programming. Probably one of programming's most powerful features. You can get a lot accomplished. You can, well, in future tutorials I'm going to show you ways in which you can use loops and how useful they are. So yeah, that's it. Loops, pretty simple but powerful concept in programming languages. Thanks for watching. Please like this video, share this video, comment on this video, and subscribe to Walter Web, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.